Sonoma County, California, right in fabled wine country, and within it sits Sonoma Raceway. And today it is the site of the third of 3 races on a very busy weekend of racing for the Pirelli GT4 America Sprintx Championship, and it is sponsored by CrowdStrike. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish. Ryan Marine, as always, with us down in the pits. And this is the 8th round of the championship, 3rd of this weekend. It's been an incredibly busy weekend. And you take a look here at the front row, Cal, the Aston Martins are loving this track.
They are for real this year, Greg. Certainly these teams are gradually getting their arms wrapped around this platform. The Aston Martin Vantage GT4. See there, Robbie Foley going for a 2nd win in the Pro-Am division with his teammate Michael Dinan. They've been very strong here this weekend, but there's some real surprises up and down the grid, including yesterday's winner right at the very back. They weren't aware of the protocol for how this grid would be set, so we should see some fireworks here today.
We should, and of course, one thing they have to tackle is a very technical serpentine racetrack carved into the side essentially of a small mountain here. And for a great look at it, we're going to give you our Porsche track preview and a great ride with young gun Max Root.
Hello, this is Maxwell Root, and this is your Porsche track preview at Sonoma Raceway. We're approaching turn 1 at about 140 miles an hour, focusing on maximizing our rotation up here, down to 2nd gear, really getting all the power down using the rest of the road. We're approaching turn 3. This is an uphill elevation change that was really important to maximize power and to use the maximum road. Down to 2nd gear for 4. All the road here as well. This is a flat out section setting up for the carousel, which is a very important part of the track for time. Rotating the car here, opening my hands as I'm running all the way to the exit road. This is a nice place to take a small drink and refocus for the stint ahead. Braking right around the 250 board, down to 2nd gear, trailing the brake, and rotating the car, parking it, and setting up for the back S section. Up to 3rd, 4th gear here. We're going to take a small lift into 8A and really maximize our speed as we open our hands and go down the back straightaway. Braking, this is a small fast chicane, 1st gear, small lift, and back to full power, flat out around 10. Opening our hands up and setting up for a successful 11 to complete the lap, avoiding a small bump here on the brakes, down to 1st gear, waiting on the rotation, opening the hands, and maximizing the power all the way to the wall. Thank you, guys.
Well, it's a pretty amazing lap, and what he didn't talk about much there was 1, the abrasiveness of this track, and 2, the lack of grip.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. You need a lot of finesse to get around here. You really have to manage your tires. Certainly in this 60-minute race with 2 drivers completing the race on the same set of Pirelli P0. So you can see it there, the aggregate and the surface. Beautiful conditions here, very cool here this weekend. Low 60s right now for ambient. So perfect conditions, but nonetheless, very much a challenge around this circuit.
And down amongst the beautiful machines is Ryan Marine.
One wrinkle to the race here today is that our pole sitter for the first 2 races of the weekend and our winner yesterday, the Marco Polo Motorsports KTM Crossbow, it's going to be starting all the way back in the 21st position, and that's because of a little bit of confusion with the qualifying protocols. And it's worth keeping in mind, we're all getting used to these new 3-race weekends and the format of those weekends, which involves 2 qualifying sessions for 3 races. And the way that it works, the 2nd fastest lap from qualifying 2 sets the grid for race number 3, which is about to unfold here in just a moment. Well, the team thought it was going to be the 2nd fastest lap from the 1st qualifying session, and they tell me that it was an awfully fast lap. Unfortunately, it doesn't count for a whole lot, so they've got their work cut out for them starting in the 2nd to last row all the way back in 21st.
Cal, I think Mr. Mueller of Muellerize made a good comment about it's going to make for some good TV.
Yeah, he said we got a really fast race car. They should have won both the races here this weekend. They had a technical issue with broken wastegate on day 1 when they were leading handily. So he said we won from the back before. Nikolai actually won here in a different event back in 2016 in a Lotus. So they're going to be up on the wheel, but it's a lot of cars to cut through.
It certainly is. And again, hour-long race. You mentioned 2 drivers, so that means there's going to be a driver change, Cal.
Yeah, it's going to be between the 25 and 35-minute mark of this race. You have to be on pit lane, not completed the service by 35 minutes in, but be at least on there getting that driver change done. Only thing you really change is tire pressures potentially on the car. You can't change tires or anything like that. That's why that tire management is such a critical factor in the event and the result here today.
Yeah, and it was nice to see at the very back of the field the 33 of Matt Dalton and Patrick Gallagher, the RS1 Aston Martin Vantage, the Notland Racing and Bellhaven Investments entry. They have been struggling with huge overheating issues all event, and they've continued to chase it, and they decided to give it one more go here. So we'll see if they're able to get through the field and maybe make up some spots and finish one here. Certainly with 60 minutes, there's opportunity for them.
There is, and it's a triple-header weekend, and you can certainly make a lot of hay in terms of the championship standings. And if you have some technical issues, well, you just keep trying to rebound overnight and work hard. So hopefully that car will see the checkered flag here today, other than just the green.
Yeah, great field, obviously, and looking for some great competition. That Reardon Racing Mercedes-AMG GT4 starting in the 5th spot overall, but on the class pole with Chris Wilson setting that car's second fastest lap, which was good for the pole. You know, there's a lot of, when you get to the Pro-Am and Am scenarios here, the driver changes will sometimes change that pace of that car quite a bit. So what you see in the early part of the race doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're going to see at the end of it.
No, I mean, very much so. I mean, the pros who are starting today's race have a lot more experience, so you expect them to be up on the wheel and able to extract a bit more lap time out of their race car. But it's all about positioning and strategy,
right.
And we've seen that with Chris Wilson. He is such a stud behind the wheel, even at his age. He's able to run with the young guns, so he's going to be looking to try and gap the rest of that Am field, get John Allen in there, who did a wonderful job here yesterday. When you're thrown right in the mix like he was, to deal with those circumstances and still bring it home to a victory is really a tremendous performance. So he's getting used to that and used to the pressure cooker situation, and they're seeing great results. Had 2 wins at VIR and followed up with another win here yesterday.
Here's a look at that Aston Martin, and we've said it before, Matt Dalton is a huge fan of Eddie Van Halen. The car has always carried the graphic package of Eddie Van Halen's self-designed Frankenstrat, as he called it, and they've been referring to this car now with all of those different pieces on it as the Franken Martin, and see what happens here. The other thing, big story here, the 82 Bimmer World Redline Oil BMW, Bill Oberlin and James Walker, so impressive at VIR, and we're quick in the testing here. Then they made this big setup change before qualifying, and it was completely off, went the wrong way. They said came off the rails. I talked to James Walker this morning, and he said, well, we've thrown another big setup change on it, and with no practice, he said, you're going to find out about the same time we do. He said, the one thing, we elected to start on scuffs yesterday, and he said, well, a lot of the others went with stickers. He said, we've got a fresh set of stickers today, so if that change helped, he said, watch for Bill to head toward the front as fast as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's very rarely that you see Bill Oberlin backing up in a race, and we saw that yesterday. And what does that mean? Well, it means A, they were struggling, B, how competitive this field is. There are no weak links in this. There's no easy points. There's no easy positions. So if you're struggling, guess what? Even with the caliber of Bill Oberlin, he found himself struggling to stay up in the top 10.
And lights out on the Acura NSX, the official safety vehicle of SRO Motorsports America, which means we are going green this time by. And again, 60-minute 8th round of the championship. And basically, this is the makeup race for one of the events that had to be canceled earlier in the year because of the pandemic. And I really think it's awesome that SRO Motorsports America, along with SRO globally, said we are going to run every race. May not be at the venues that they were supposed to be at, but we'll make them up. And that's created some of these 3 race event weekends, and it's been spectacular. And now we get to see just how this is going to play out as Robbie Foley and that dark blue Flying Lizard Aston Martin leads Kenton Cook in the B-Sport Racing Aston Martin alongside up to the green flag, and it flies. We are racing at Sonoma Raceway. Foley gets that little bit of a move ahead, drifts over to make sure that Kenton can't do anything around the outside, but again, Chris Wilson on the move early.
Yeah, he peeks his nose in there to the inside of Andrew Davis into turn 2. Can't quite make it stick. Here comes Gregory Lafuge in the orange and blue BMW, looking to the inside, heading up into turn 3.
A nice jump by Davis from 4th to 3rd as well. And there you see the crossbow already has picked up 3-4 positions. They have to get after it early here as we head into the carousel for the first time. Ooh, a lot of side-by-side action. Oberlin down to the inside of a couple of cars and slips through.
Really tight there, tight quarters. These tires aren't quite up to temperature and pressure just yet, but perfect conditions here. Mads SILJEHAUG has really made hay here early. Look at him go down to the inside of the carousel. He's made up about 6 positions in half a lap.
That's exactly what he has to do as much as possible in the early going here. There's a look at Oberlin, and a big move here by the 91 of Vesko Kozarov down to the inside of the Ginetta. That was close on the back of Oberlin.
That was really close, and I tell you what I'm looking forward to is maybe a cut and paste of yesterday where Kozarov and Jan Halen, look at that Ginetta there coming back at them. Been a really quick car here this weekend.
Indeed, and Andretti right at the back of that queue as well. So Leofoged, then Halen. Ooh, and a big move here again as Kozarov was able to drive around the outside of the Ginetta. And there's a big horsepower disparity between that GT4 Aston Martin and the Ginetta. There's also a big weight disparity. And in the twisty bits, that Ginetta's magic, but if it's an absolute drag race, that Aston Martin's going to win.
It will. So things settling down now. We've got a lap under our belts. The car should start to feel really good. There we see the Andretti Autosport Window World machine. They now lead the silver classification with a couple of good results here this weekend, including a win on Friday.
Let's take a look here and see SILJEHAUG 23rd to 16th in the opening lap, Cal. That's magic.
It is, but each position is going to get tougher.
Yeah,
I mean, the quicker
true.
Guys are at the front, so you might make some cut and dice some moves early, but suddenly it's going to get stymied a little bit.
So it's FOLEY over Kenton Cook, Andrew Davis third. They are all Pro-Am cars. Leading the AM class is the number 16 of Wilson, as we continue to watch now as SILJEHAUG trying to work over Tim Barber in that white with the unique patterns on it. That is the CCR with TFB Racing, Aston Martin, or excuse me, BMW, that have been very quick this year as well.
Yeah, big move early for that group from towards the tail end of the pack. So it was a great start for the 25 car, but here we focus now on Robbie FOLEY, coming off a big accident that he had at Road America last weekend, injured his knee, but he seems up to the task. He's digging deep, and I tell you what, the adrenaline really flows when you got clear track ahead of you and you're thinking about another victory.
Yeah, he's a little gimpy out of the car, but it hasn't affected his performance in it. Here's a look at third, Andrew Davis in the GMG Racing Frost NYC entry, and right behind him is the Evergreen. Oh, Chris Wilson, that back end came around on that pretty good.
Yeah, he's really chasing that throttle
Sure
hard,
is.
trying to get a run on Andrew to be in position to maybe make a move down in this brake zone for turn 11. They're running the configuration where it's the long stretch that you come down here into turn 11. So as you come out of 9, and that chicane exit speed can really set you up for a pass down into this corner.
Then Jason Hart in that white and yellow Porsche from NOLA Sport being chased hard right now by Michael Cooper in the Flying Lizard McLaren. And Cooper has moved up at least 2 spots from the start of this. For that 47 car, very, very impressive. We always see the great speed out of that entry, Cal. Won from a class pole on the first race on Friday. But Saturday, it was amazing to see how far deep in the field Jason Hart started. That's very much against his normal MO, if you will. And then a problem in the race as well in terms of timing with that pit stop.
Yeah, big deep move there by Jan Halen down to the inside on Leofoged. Side by side, they accelerate off of turn 4. Leofoged will have the inside line for the carousel, but you know that Halen's going to push him hard. Can't quite make it stick. Oberlin in the shadows looking for an opportunity.
Halen trying to make it around the outside, and he might make this work. And Leofoged, gentlemanly, leaves him enough room. It's too early in the race to get that kind of a contact. And Halen, what a great move.
Yeah,
and look at Oberlin.
Yeah, he could see that. Greg couldn't get back to the apex of the beginning of turn 7 there, and that opened up the door for Billy Oberlin, and he pounced immediately. It looks like that car may have a little bit more grip and balance than it's seen certainly in the races this weekend. They had it here on Friday morning, but then seemed to lose their way a little bit, as you alluded to, Greg.
And Oberlin, great move, but for Leofoged, that's big picture thinking. He ended up giving up 2 spots, but it's better than ending up wrinkled up on the side of the road. And that's the sign of a real pro, to be able to understand that. Now he's just got to put his head down and see if he can come back after him as Cooper takes a look at Hart, that blue McLaren on the yellow and white Porsche from NOLA Sport.
Yeah, getting back to the 47 story, they qualified poorly yesterday, down on row 5, I believe it was, but they managed to strategize their way to the front, but then got caught out with the pit stop window, missed it by 15 seconds which sounds like a lot, so I think they were just a lap off, or maybe Jason didn't get the call to hit pit lane when he needed to. They used the clear track to really get some good lap times in, and they were in a position to win yesterday, but then they got the drive-through penalty that dropped them down to just a top 5, and it cut some of that lead that they would have had last evening.
And NOLA Sport very busy here, fielding 3 different cars. What are you hearing from their camp, Ryan?
Well, speaking of that miscue that led to the penalty, guys, I had a chance to check with the team just before the start of this race and just said, hey, what happened? And ultimately, it was a radio issue that was the problem. They just didn't get that communication to the driver in the car that he needed to get to pit lane, and boy, it was costly. But they're ready to put that behind them, put their heads down, and try and salvage a good result today.
All right, thanks very much, Ryan. Another guy who's got his head down is Jan Halen.
He has, and I think for 2 reasons. A, he wants to get to the front, and B, if he looks back in his rearview mirror a little bit, he's going to see Vesco Kozrov. And those guys had some argy-bargy yesterday that even continued down pit lane. Of course, a drive-through penalty for both drivers in terms of contact on the pit lane is very dangerous with the service and the crews working there. So maybe we'll see that battle resume here today.
Yeah, and afterwards there was near argy-bargy out of the car down at pit lane. Some pretty intense conversation between the two. They are both fiery competitors, and that's hardly a surprise. Wilson getting a nice run here on Davis. He's going to look to the inside, but that Porsche is awfully good on the brakes, and Andrew Davis able to dissuade Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, 2 really quick guys here, 2 really quick race cars as well. GMG 8-car entry here this weekend. Very busy time for James Safronis and the whole group there. And for Jason Bell, who will share this car with Andrew Davis, this race will be race 6 of 8 for this 3-day weekend. So he's been a busy man and been really done a great job of adapting between the different cars each step of the way.
Let's see just some of the big movers here. And as James Walker said, you'll know how it works, the changes on the car about the same time we do. Well, right now, 13th to 8th for Bill Oberlin. That's a good sign. But Hart starting back in the 8th spot up into the 5th spot. So clearly that car is working well today as well. There is SILJEHAUG, and let's see, where does he sit right now? You talked about how things will get a little bit more difficult, and indeed they have. He's gotten around Cole Serralo, but now has to deal with drivers Whitmer and Andretti. It's getting tougher.
It is, and with that car, it really performs great lap time. We see it by sweeping both poles here this weekend up until today. And here we see a battle there. Chris Wilson trying to get to the inside of Andrew Davis. This is for 3rd overall, not for a class position. So for Chris Wilson, he's not so worried about getting by Andrew in terms of the position on the racetrack, but he wants to just gap the rest of the AM field to give John Allen the best possible chance for another victory here today.
Yeah, and I think he may have forced the issue if that was a class position move a little bit more in 7. Taking a look here at SILJEHAUG, what's the update from pit lane, Ryan?
The team is really enthused with the start that he's had to this race. He's been able to make up a lot of spots, and they really think that they've got a chance to drive through this field. He has been a quick study, of course, new to Sonoma Raceway here this weekend, but Nikolai Elganian on the other side of things, this is his home track. He knows this place. He's really confident here. I did ask him, do you guys want a yellow at some point to try and bunch the field back up? I thought that might help strategically, but he said no. We'd rather just keep going. We think that the pace of this car is good enough, and they can drive to the front.
Well, I think part of that is, Cal, that it's a little lighter car because it doesn't have quite the power, so it's easier on tires. And the longer this stays green, since you don't change tires at the stop, that plays into their hands.
It does, but right now he's 16, 17 seconds away from the lead of this race. So that's going to continue to grow as he tries to battle his way through some of these positions. So I agree with Ryan's strategy. If you made a little bit of a move and then got that yellow and reset and didn't have that gap to the leaders would be ideal. But meanwhile, Chris Wilson continued to pile on the pressure on Andrew Davis through the carousel turn, just trying to squeeze on the power a little bit earlier and try and get that run. You'd think that Andrew will try and protect that inside lane. Will Wilson flick to the inside? Risky move there. Andrew's placing that car perfectly, making it a long way around, but now Chris Wilson looks to the inside. Davis runs around the cushion, similar to a move he put on Bill Oberlin yesterday, manages to just hold on, but Wilson's car looks a little bit quicker right now.
Well, I'll tell you, Andrew could have squeezed Chris a little bit there, but that's not how Andrew races. He gave him just enough room and said, I think I can float speed around the outside, and it paid off. But I think this is going to be just a spectacular battle for a while here.
Classy stuff, but I have to think about Andrew Davis. I think he's compromising his lap time by compromising his racing line. And he needs to think big picture. If Wilson is quicker, let him go. He's not running for you in class, so let him go and just tag on to him and try and chase down those leaders again.
That's a good point. If he lets him throw, then he can just follow Chris up, and both of them can run together and try and get up there. So see, just maybe there's some communication going on between the pit wall and that #2 Frost NYC GMG Racing Porsche. Oh, look at this, SILJEHAUG now. Looks like he's gotten around Whitmer. Perhaps, yep, he's cleared Whitmer, so now he's going to be attacking on Jared Andretti. He throws a big arc around that corner, doesn't he?
Ooh, up and over the curb. You got to be careful here. It's possible to damage the suspension and break it if you abuse these curbs too abruptly. You know that Jared Andretti, we've seen it so many times this year, really stubborn driver, has tremendous speed. The Andretti Autosport team openly admit that this is not their best racetrack in terms of setup and competitiveness, but they've done a really good job of maximizing their point score here this weekend. And what has it done for them? It's got them the class lead in the championship.
Going back to clouding that curb is actually part of the driver briefing. They said the leading edge of these curbs can really damage tires, so be mindful of it. And Wilson has slipped through. Now, I don't know whether it was Andrew just decided to quit fighting or Chris just put a magic move on him, but nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see here if Chris moves quickly forward and if Andrew can stay with him and they close back up on those two Aston Martins up front.
Yeah, Wilson just needs to get going now. He's trying to just build the biggest gap he can for his teammate right now to try and score another victory. Reardon Racing doing a really good job here, running both the Mercedes platform and the Aston Martins as well. Multi-car operation led by Lara Tolman and Vesko Kozarov. Big battles here. Andretti defends to the inside, that shallow approach to the corner. What can Mads do with this? Gets on the power early.
That's the thing, stay close enough and use the light weight of that car into the brake zone, but Andretti, that McLaren's got pretty good squirt off the corners, and not going to happen here. And getting back to what you were saying about Wilson, he's now 3rd overall, 2nd in the AM class, is Zach Anderson back in 11th. And that's what he's trying to do, is just to create as much of a gap as possible, as you said. All right, now let's see what SILJEHAUG can do once they get back into the more serpentine bits of this track.
Yeah, you can see Andretti pulls him a little bit with that McLaren's pace up to the top of the hill, but this is where this crossbow will really excel. Through this twisty stuff, the elevation change, the camera does not do it justice in terms of how much climb there is. Right there, the compression into 3, over 3A. Car gets really light right there. You can't see the edge of the road, and Mads looks to the inside.
Tell you, that's one of the things we watched. Oh, Andretti, a little slide there. We watched Andretti with that earlier turn-in approach than most drivers have, but it also ends up being a pretty good defensive posture too, doesn't it?
That's his normal line. Can't even accuse him of blocking because he likes to run that shallow approach. Makes it really hard to pass.
Oh,
Mads on the power early. He's side by side as they come off the corner. Can he run the rim shot around turn 7? There he goes, a little bit deeper on the brakes with a lighter weight. Goes to the outside. Andretti tries to defend. It's going to be tight.
And that piece of track, if you're going to make something like that work, as you get through 7 and make that bend up toward turn 8, the driver you're trying to overtake needs to give you space. If not, it can get ugly.
Whitmer there, just in the shadows. He recognizes that they're fighting the Andretti Autosport car for the championship lead right now, so the ST Racing car needs to try and follow Mads through if he can make a move on Andretti.
McLaren, KTM Crossbow, BMW, great mix of machinery in this category.
This 2020 Crossbow is just really a better match for the dynamic of GT4 racing.
Yeah.
And John Mueller and Muellerize are now the official dealer here in the States. They got their shop over in Santa Ana, and they've got new cars in stock. So if you're looking, trying to pick a new manufacturer to come to this championship with, he's ready and waiting for you.
Well, the performance we're seeing out of this new version, the latest evolution, if you will, of that KTM Crossbow, it's racy. Oh, a little bit of a slide there by Hart. Making making sure, doing everything he can to keep Halen behind him. Then that gap back to that blue McLaren from Flying Lizard of Cooper, then Oberlin in the Redline Oil Bimmerworld BMW, then Leia Fouge in the Cameron Race Products BMW, and then Kozarov, and then number 91 Reardon Racing, Aston Martin. All right, this is where SILJEHAUG made up huge amount of time here, and he just flows so much speed through there. And Andretti looked like he covered it a little bit better this time.
He did, but I think Mads had a bit more of a gap to maybe maximize his speed through the corner. But as you said, Andretti did a nice job as well. Not under pressure or threat right now into turn 7.
SILJEHAUG was thinking about, well, maybe I can do something on the inside here, and that didn't quite pan out. Great battling here. Essentially, right here, we're looking at the battle for 13th and 14th.
Well, again, it just showcases as Mads looked to the inside, just trying to work him over, just how competitive this field is. The car that's really been dominant in terms of pace all weekend long is battling it right now for a 13th position. So there is no easy meet out there.
And this is one of the things, you know, when you've got a car that has a lot less horsepower but runs lighter on a free lap, it can be wickedly quick. Oh, we got a nice run there. But right there, when you get into traffic, horsepower is your friend. Be able to pull out and accelerate and get out of corners quicker. And that's where things have to get creative for the drivers of this crossbow on occasion. Yeah,
they certainly do. I mean, if he was able to clear Jarrett right now, he'd probably take off and go chase down the next pack. But up front, Robbie Foley, just superb. Flying Lizard Motorsport, this is their home track, so they know it very well. They do a lot of testing here, and they're putting that to good effect as Foley continues to increase his lead just by the slightest of margins each lap over Kenton Cook.
And when Foley stops and turns the car over, he's turning it over to one of the drivers on one of the most amazing streaks, if you will, and brimming with confidence in this paddock right now.
Yes, Michael Dinan leads in the sprint category in the AM division. He's had 5 wins on the year. And they've had a good weekend together here. Finished second on Friday. They won yesterday their class, so it's really been a great transition for that whole group over to the Aston Martin platform. But Chris Wilson continued to set fastest personal sectors, and he's just got a mission. Try and gap that second position held by Zach Anderson right now in the number 7 NOLA Sport entry.
Yeah, Wilson just ran a 48 flat on his last lap, 0.2 quicker than the guys in front and significantly quicker than the guys behind him. Boy, here we go again.
Well, certainly if Mads has not really competed against Jared Andretti before, he's certainly getting the message right now that he is not an easy man to overtake. He keeps it clean, but he's used to running in these close quarters. Been brought up on the dirt tracks and midget racing, and they're typically 10-minute sprint races, and you have to get up on the wheel early, as Jarrett always does.
Yeah, he's an opening couple lap wonderkind in many ways. Let's get down to pit lane, check in with Ryan on this beautiful Mercedes.
You were talking about Chris Wilson, and he's maybe one of the more experienced drivers in this field. And interestingly enough, he's one that has really embraced the sim racing as a tool for preparation. I think usually you associate that with the younger crowd, but Chris, he told me he does 200 to 300 laps on his sim before ever arriving at a racetrack, which is pretty amazing. He also said at this point in his career, he's been to just about every track in North America, so it's not like he's using it to learn the track, but he said the biggest takeaway he got from that is simply the muscle memory. He said it allowed him to really get up to speed right away. From the first lap out of the pits in practice, within a couple of laps, he said he could go as fast as he could go all weekend long, and he really attributes that to all that time spent on the sim.
Well, it certainly translates over, and Chris also was an instructor here at this race circuit. Now we see Whitmer making a move on Mads. I'm not sure if Mads made a little mistake or tried to make a move on Andretti that was thwarted and cost him some time.
This might not be the worst thing for Mads to get a little bit of a gap behind Andretti, so if there's somewhere he can flow some speed now and not run up in the backs. Watch it here in the carousel.
Looks to the inside, tries to get down to him, and then he just gets pinched a little bit, loses all of his momentum, and Whitmer was there to pounce, and then just uses the slightly more powerful BMW to out-accelerate him up to turn 7.
nice and deep, but SILJEHAUG able to cut down to the inside. It's a nice response move, but look how quickly again SILJEHAUG has run Andretti down.
Yeah, he's going to be frustrated. It's all about patience. But as the team were very confident that they could maybe get to the front, but I didn't think that was going to be an easy task by any stretch. Now the key is going to be for Andretti. How much does he want to fight this car right now? I mean, every point is important, but he's got to think big picture. This team has not been here and not really in the championship picture, so if he loses that position, yes, it's a couple of points, but don't get risk taken out and turned around here.
Exactly.
I don't think Jarrett thinks that way, though. I think he's an Andretti.
Look at the rim shot here by SILJEHAUG. Sorry about that.
Trying something different.
Yeah, you have to. Well, this is...
He's going to try and cut underneath right there.
Nice.
Yes, gets it done. Nothing Jarrett can do from there, I don't think. Maz will just float out a little bit wide. Yeah, nice job.
Yep.
That was beautiful.
Not much room between those two, just enough.
Yeah, that was a mega pass there by Mads. I think he'd had enough. I've got to figure this out and get going. Now I think he'll just take off.
Well, I mean, looking at the gap potentially between those guys, in front of Andretti up to where it's a couple of seconds, so we'll see how quickly he's going to be able to close that up.
This is a great battle here. Right now we have Porsches running 4th, 5th, and 6th on the road. This is the battle for 5th overall and for 4th in the Pro-Am division. Jan Halen really putting pressure on our championship leader, Jason Hart here. Two really good prep shops. Nola Sport going up against RS1. Marcus Hasselgrove, no part of that operation, giving his technical advice. Just a really quality team, both of them.
Different lines there.
Yeah, he really fights as he comes up over the hill. You can see the car bucking around and just searching for grip, and he's working hard on that wheel.
Got a nice little run here, maybe. But Hart able to just leg him a little bit here. Up front, at that margin between FOLEY and Cook and the two Aston Martins, about a second. So that remains close, but such good battling for position throughout the field here.
Yeah, looks like Cook's actually closing in on Robbie FOLEY for the lead a little bit. Took about 4 or 5 tenths out of him on that last lap, so that's certainly significant. Getting pretty close to the pit window opening, just a couple of minutes to go. So for these drivers, probably next lap around, they could probably sneak in.
And my math was incorrect. SILJEHAUG now has about 8 seconds to close up to get to Cody Ware, the next car.
Halen fighting it. He's thinking about it, but you just get into that dynamic where you're so determined to make that move, but just as you try and right-brake someone, you realize, no, they're taking it in just as deep as I am. And you have to bail out of it. The key is having enough room to get out of the way and not turn someone just as they go for the apex.
Well, when Halen was standing on the brakes there, you could see that car was juking a bit, wasn't it? I mean, that's on the limit.
It really was, and they're pushing things right now. The other thing they got to do is manage these tires. It's one thing to get the track position and achieve the lap time, but you got to give your co-driver something to work with for the second half of this race. And with the pros starting here, we expect to see most of these drivers stay out towards the end part of this pit stop window to maximize the time with a slightly faster driver.
That's going to open in just over 30 seconds.
Does not have to be the leader whenever the clock ticks to that moment. The lead could be there just a little bit too soon to make the move down pit lane. That could be the second place runner or even the middle of the pack suddenly hitting pit road first. But again, they'll have 10 minutes to work with, and critically, you have to be in that window. That was the mistake that the 47 squad were looking at there, the Nola Sport entry made yesterday. Michael Cooper looking a little bit stronger today. He's been unbeatable in the sprint form of competition here this weekend in a different team, but same platform with the McLaren. He looks a little bit sharper than he was yesterday, but this is a great battle between the two BMWs. Billy Oberlin holding on to 7th position in class right now from Greg Leofouge. Kozarov, I thought, would make some more moves, but again, is just so tough here with the level and the standard of the driving and the performance of the cars.
Behind them is the car second in the AM category, the number 7 NOLA Sport entry, the Trattoria Wines entry of Zach Anderson.
He's been really quick this weekend. I mean, for him to be running with the group of drivers in front of him, that's a big statement about Zach Anderson and his abilities. Teams up with Sean Gibbons. They've had 3 wins on the year already. They have the lead in the AM division and continuing to execute with that new sponsor on board.
All right, Andretti, as that window opens, jukes into the pits, and ooh, and a big spin there. It looks like it may be the TRG entry. Oh, down the bottom of the carousel.
Yeah, just turns it around there.
Boy, and I'll tell you, that was a long slide on those rears. They may have a couple of serious flat spots. Dr. Rappaport, I would suspect, is going to be coming in and turning over to Derek DeBoer pretty quickly. Here comes Andretti. Colin Mullen jumps over the wall.
Got 87 seconds is the time you have to spend on pit lane. You are allowed a joker, but I believe the Andretti team used theirs yesterday, as I recall, so you're only allowed 1 per weekend.
Exactly.
Not sure how it works with the triple header exactly, but you want to be tight to that 87-second mark to try and maximize. And the nice thing with this driver pairing, they're very equal in speed, so that gives them the flexibility with the strategy. Robin Pemberton on the box can make that call in terms of either pitting Jared a little bit earlier in that pit stop window or extending it out some.
Boy, did they get that driver change done in a big hurry. Plenty of time to just sit and wait for the clock for the release and see how that panned out. And it's 87.03 seconds. That's about as perfect as it gets.
I think that's the most perfect we've ever seen.
Yes, I would agree.
In terms of not using the joker, but being right on the mark. So you can see he basically goes down a lap with his track position that he had, and then 87 seconds on pit lane. Probably cost you about 75 seconds to the field in terms of they have to complete that piece of the racetrack, obviously at green, but big delta there. So now Colin Mullen, hammer down, try and get into a rhythm as quickly as you can. Tires are still relatively warm, just sitting there for just over a minute. Shouldn't lose too much temperature, so the car should be in good shape as we see this battle continuing to boil a little bit. You know that Jan Halen would love to get by the 47 car before the pit stop.
I'm guessing the 47 car might be a little bit more conservative on when they bring in Jason Hart today. Ooh, big slide by the number 28 ST machine, and SILJEHAUG shoots through, picks up another spot.
Just a pit stop there for the 38 car, so it's now John Miller behind the wheel. Taking the reins from Samantha Tan, who celebrates her birthday here today, so congratulations, Samantha, and they'll be looking for another podium run for that ST Racing BMW.
SILJEHAUG just doing a superb job. That is a very strong car, to be sure, but boy, is he giving it a ride.
Yeah, and that's just John Miller trying to get into a rhythm, even if the tires are warm and you're on your outlap. Maz just took advantage of that.
Yep. Kozarov got a nice little run there in Leafoge, but Leafoge sensed it and just drifted over to the middle of the track. We're starting to see a big bunch of debris now from the backside of that curve at the right-hand turn-in point for 99A coming up onto the track. That was one of the only cautions we've had here this entire weekend. The drivers have been just remarkable, but they actually had to put a caution down because a ton of stuff was getting pulled up on the track there.
Yeah, Matt SILJEHAUG has really got his head down now, and he's starting to catch this pack in front of him. He'd love to be on their tail at least by the time he turns it over to Nikolai Algany and see if they can execute a good clean pit stop and then let Nikolai go after the rest of that top 10.
Boy, it's just been just a great study. I mean, identical equipment, just the respective teams and their tuning on the cars and the drivers, and it's basically equal equipment. This has been a great scrap between two awfully talented guys.
Yeah, they're really quick. I mean, Jan Halen has tremendous experience, even ran Champ Car over here for a little bit. So the Belgian driver going hard after Jason Hart, our championship leader right now. And you know that Matt Travis is going to be in a really good shape here for another strong run for this NOLA Sport team. They have the big picture of the championship, certainly as their target for this year. Came so close last year, went on a tear. I think they won 6 races or something to start the year, 5, 6 races on the trot. And then suddenly they just lost their momentum a little bit and got pipped for the championship by Stephen Cameron Racing, Greg Leofouge and Sean Quinlan.
Have a look here, Andrew Davis still running in that 4th spot. And then it's behind him that these two guys are duking it out. Davis has done a nice job, but those guys have closed it up a little bit on Andrew. He had the better part of 10 seconds on him not that long ago, and now it's down to just over 5.
Probably could run another couple of laps here and still be within the window. Again, you don't have to have the service completed as Jason really sliding that Porsche coming through turn 11. I wonder if they get gun shy about missing the window yesterday.
That's
They'll
what
come
I'm
in
saying.
a lap early.
That was my thought. They might be a little bit more conservative on that call.
I think they can safely complete this lap plus one more.
And SILJEHAUG is in. And it's very different how the cockpit opens up on this car, but they've been able to get the driver changes done very, very quickly. And that's the good sign. We've talked about it before, but if you haven't watched one of these before, when the car comes down off the jacks after the driver, or when the door shuts after the driver change and they sit for a couple of seconds, that's a good sign. It means that driver change happened very quickly. If they drop and go, usually it means they've given something up. Ryan?
Nikolai Alganian about to replace Matt SILJEHAUG. It's Nikolai's dad running the lollipop on this team. It's one of the smaller teams in the paddock, but they have been fast all weekend. A couple of the poles, they got the win yesterday after disappointment in the first race of the weekend. Behind them, we see the classic BMW team getting set to make their driver change. As far as the KTM is concerned, though, looking fairly smooth to this point. Down goes the cockpit. We're waiting. Taking a little look behind the race car there as well. But just an eye on that stopwatch, which, as we know, is a very good sign, although this might not be, with the crew member taking a very close look. Do you guys see anything?
I don't see anything. I think they're just trying to keep everything as cool as possible as it sits stationary. You get a lot of heat soak with the engine and everything being at full speed, and then just suddenly coming to a stop without any air getting through the system.
Let's see what kind of a stop. A little long. They left about 2.5 seconds on the table there.
Pivotal.
Yep, but I think that's exactly right. Yesterday during the driver change, they had blowers not just at the back of the car like that, trying to cool off things, but also blowing in through the front intakes into the intercoolers, just doing everything they can to keep those that turbo cool. And here we go. The leaders are in. Let's get back down to Ryan.
The swap is from Robbie Foley to Michael Dinan. And remember, this is probably the hardest part of the weekend for Foley, who's got that knee injury. It aggravated an old football injury from his high school days. Still not walking great, but boy, he's been driving well. These two teamed for their first Sprintx win of the year yesterday. Dinan's been driving great on the sprint side. Really clean pit stop for the Flying Lizard team.
Yeah, they sat for an awfully long time. That's good. All right. The 2 NOLA Sport cars are in. Hart turning over to Travis. Keeping an eye on the time, 87.2 for the Flying Lizard Aston Martin driver change.
Zach Anderson in for Sean Gibbons, climbing aboard the Trattori Farms Y number 7 entry. Here goes Aaron Vogel, who did a great job yesterday, was really fighting hard.
And the bad news is for Ken Cook turning over to Brian Putt, they went 3 seconds long. Oh, look at this. Jason Hart turning over to Travis, 86 seconds. They were within 54 100ths of being outside of even the Joker window. Wow, is that cutting it close?
That is really putting it right on the wire there, and a little bit sketchy, I'd say, after having a penalty yesterday for missing the pit stop window to be that close. So
yes,
they got away with it, it looks like, and will turn out to be perfect strategy, and that'll maybe give them the advantage on this 37 machine.
And into the pits comes Jan Halen, and what a mega stint he put in here. A couple of great stops. Unfortunately, Oberlin to James Walker in the Bimmerworld car, they left 2 seconds on the table. 2 seconds in the pit can translate into a couple of spots on the track in some of these close battles.
It can be frustrating for a driver when you hop out the car after a heated battle trying to find every 10th of a second, and suddenly you did 20 laps, try to gain a 10th, and you can lose it in just that little moment in the pit lane.
So Dynan now up to speed in the Flying Lizard entry. Coming off of the class win yesterday and looking to go one better, not just class, but overall. Now John Allen behind the wheel.
And he's really getting more comfortable with being thrown in at the deep end. When you take over the car in the middle of the race, you've got to find a rhythm and you've got battles for position all around you. It's quite intimidating for someone who's not experienced that many times before. But as John said after the race yesterday to Ryan, I'm getting more comfortable with this. And that's really a testimony to him digging deep and also Chris Wilson's mentoring him.
This is going to be a good little battle here. Sean Quinlan and that Cameron Racing BMW. And Jeff Burton and the Reardon Aston Martin. This is Matt Travis looking to try and get away around John Allen, and he gets through.
Belluardo. He's got to be careful, just really trying to figure out everyone's dynamic. Where is the driver's head in front of you? Is he comfortable? Is he going to go for the apex, or is he being super cautious and going to give you the lane? So a lot of language that you have to read into the car in front of you in terms of what he's going to do. There you see John Allen does not give away that inside lane. So Belluardo, he's got to really figure this out quickly.
They definitely got a nice run here, and Allen really shallowed up his exit there. And Belluardo, I think, yep, is going to shoot through. Makes that pass stick.
Now John Allen should be able to now find a rhythm. Has the AM lead. Just needs to settle down. Oh, Charlie has a moment there coming off. That was bizarre.
Yeah.
Just suddenly lost the tail of that Porsche and had to regroup a little bit.
Sean Gibbons will have taken over the number 7. That's the car that's second in the AM class to John Allen. Meanwhile, here is Elganian in the KTM. You see where they've slotted into the order again. Gave up a little bit on that stop. He may have a problem.
Yeah, he looks like he's not up to full speed. Deep on the brakes there, but that Porsche should not be able to outpace him that easily down the straightaway. They did have an electronic wastegate issue that broke on them on Friday when they had a comfortable lead, so hopefully that's not reared its head again. Godsacker here aboard the ST Racing number 28. Ian Whitmer came into this round of the championship here at Sonoma Raceway with the lead, but certainly the Andretti Autosport, even though they're not like super confident in their race car, they've had the upper hand on the ST Racing team this weekend by beating them in both of the first 2 races and have grabbed the lead back.
Now we're getting a report now that the problem with the crossbow might be a repeat of what happened on Friday, Cal, with that electronic wastegate.
Yeah, there's still a lot of time on the board, so here's Nikolai's dad taking a little sip of water, and yeah, that car is just really moving slowly. Losing all of its boost maybe down the straightaways.
Yeah. Oh, what a shame. That was an incredible run yesterday and a great drive up through the field when the car was healthy by Mads. But
local team, and John Mueller, who runs this operation, Mueller-ized, has had a lot of history here. His dad, Lee, ran back in the early 70s. John himself was a great racer and raced from the mid-80s, so be a disappointing day. They really felt they could have swept this weekend. Did a lot of work, 3 days of testing. Really tried to work hard on that new 2020 crossbow. Shown pace, but probably only 1 win out of the weekend, it looks like.
this is going to be interesting. Aaron Vogel in that blue Flying Lizard McLaren. Charlie Belluardo closing in, but that number 30 looks like they had a problem during the pit stop, and a drive-through is going to be happening. I guess a little bit too quick in pit lane during the driver change.
That's a shame.
It is, and it's unfortunate because Aaron has really been driving beautifully this weekend.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be just a building year for that whole group with this car and with Aaron, and You know, she's getting more and more comfortable. She's a great racer, as we saw yesterday. So I think she and Michael Cooper will really end up on some podium finishes before the year is out. But it's just going to take a little bit of time.
Ooh, that was Sean Gibbons.
Wow.
And I think he sees John Allen up in front. 3 cars in front of that Porsche that just had that moment is the guy he's racing essentially for the lead in the AM class. And I think Sean got a little bit over focused there and just ran a little bit wide. And Allen, I'm sure Wilson right now on the radio is going, you got to get after it. Don't let these guys get by you. Keep that buffer. Because that 4th car in line, that yellow, white, and black Porsche, that's second in class to that Mercedes up at the front of this 4-car queue.
Yeah, I think for Sean Gibbons, he's just got to be patient. We saw yesterday towards the end he was catching that Mercedes, but ran out of time. He's got a lot of time on the clock here to make that move.
Yeah, he does indeed. Here comes that Janetta.
This car's really been quick this weekend, the 63 machine with Dexter and We're really done a nice job. That could open up the door here. Sean Gibbons just needs to really read this situation carefully.
Oh, he's going to sweep right around.
Grabs the lead.
That just really hurt John Allen's momentum. And that was it. Pass for the lead in AM. Boy, Gibbons is up on that wheel.
Done a really nice job there. You can see how deep he takes that car in on the brakes compared to Colin Mullen right behind him. So he's another driver who's really gone from strength to strength. Always been pretty quick, but I think this year he's really excelling. I think his teammate has really given him some great direction. Zach Annan is a really fine driver and has tremendous speed. So when you're working together, you look at each other's data and just continue to improve as a partnership.
And Sean, he's a huge, huge fan of that Trattori wines and out here in the same area, and that's how this program sort of all came together and ended up with that winery and olive oil, Artisan Olive Oil Company, ending up with the primary sponsorship for the rest of the season on their car. And now we get up to the front of things and are watching Matt Travis working on Jason Bell. And this is for 3rd overall and 3rd in Pro-Am. Travis down to the inside of Jason.
Side by side. Will Matt try and take it in a little bit deeper on the brakes? What will Jason do? How feisty will he get here?
Ooh.
Tucks it inside. Great job by both of them. Matt is pushing hard. Now he runs the cushion to the outside. Gets to the flank and clears him. Great job by both drivers there, really giving it 100%, but Matt just makes the move.
Well, I thought Matt may have overrun the corner, but he just was floating every bit of speed. Sometimes diving to the apex, you end up tightening the wheel up, and he just let that run wide. And boy, did he carry momentum.
He did. So Travis now up to the 3rd position. Looks like another strong podium finish for the NOLA Sport entry. But they've got to be thinking about this performance that Robbie Foley and Michael Dinan are starting to put in. They continue to get wins. They got to focus on that. As a long championship season ahead, they could catch them up in the points. Burton to the inside on Belluardo.
Yeah. And these are the 2 co-drivers of the 2 cars that had their moment yesterday. And I don't think there's a lot of love lost between these 2 teams right now, so this could be a fascinating little scrap.
Yeah, there was some words exchanged between their co-drivers after the incident on pit lane yesterday, and then I think there was some visits to the steward's room as well. But you know there's a little bit of bad blood between these 2 camps right now.
It's going to be fun to watch. And just a quick note here, James Walker Jr. has taken over from Obelin. They didn't have the quickest stop. The top 8 right now are all Pro-Am cars, and Walker is sitting in 8th behind Quinlan and right behind him at that. So this that could be a good little scrap to watch as well. But this one, ooh, close stuff.
Yeah, I think Burton maybe have a little bit more pace. So again, he's got 15 minutes to go. I think Laura Tallman and Vesko Kozarov on the radio. We just need to talk him through this scenario. There's Lara. Watching intently. Their driver goes to work. Just sitting back there, just trying to analyze and try and figure out where he can time this move potentially. He's got a lot more speed available, but again, he's got to get that track position first.
This is for the final place in the top 5 in the Pro-Am category. 9th overall right now is the leader in the silver category. That's the Ginetta. With Mullen and Barber right there. Sorry about that.
Burton certainly tried to set up Charlie there, but Charlie was aware of it and just sat in the middle of the road down into the brake zone. So Charlie Belluardo is really using great racecraft here to hang on to the position. It's all going to be about how much patience Jeff Burton has before making any contact here.
Well, you're absolutely right with the car placement there for Belluardo. And Burton lit the rears up there, and it slid on him, and that's going to cost him a little bit of exit speed. And there's 3, 4, 5 car lengths for Belluardo just like that.
And the problem is for Jeff Burton, the more laps that Charlie can keep behind, he's going to get more confident with that. That's going to frustrate Burton at the same time, so that can be a toxic mix.
Looked like Charlie a little bit overran 1 and 2, or the approach to 2 just a little bit too much. Here's this scrap. This is what we were talking about. There's Sean Quinlan in that blue and orange BMW. James Walker right there in that red line old Bimmer World BMW, and that's the battle for 7th and 8th.
I think they made an improvement on the race car. It seems to me that Oberlin and James Walker Jr. both got a slightly better Bimmer World platform underneath them here today.
Right.
Not backing up, they're at least maintaining pace with another very strong BMW in the field.
Ooh, big wiggle by Burton as he tried to pinch it down to the inside at the exit of the carousel, Cal.
Yeah, this is a test for Jeff here. He's just got to really manage this situation carefully. I think if he just really use a bit of a chess move here, he can get the job done. He's just got to set Charlie up.
I think we're definitely looking at a situation, if Burton can get through on him, he'll probably be able to drive away.
The problem is that Jason Bell is some 10 seconds down the road.
Yeah.
There's only 13 minutes on the board, so I'm sure that's factoring into Jeff's anxiety here and trying to get that position as soon as he can.
Yeah, and sort of complicating things is right now Belluardo is a couple of seconds off of Bell's time, and that's just got Burton running those same times, so they're both losing ground.
I think he just needs to create a bit more of a gap coming into these corners and roll through the apex with more speed than the Porsche and take advantage into the next corner. But he's just mistiming it a little bit right now, so he just needs to take a little bit of a breath here. Look how close that was.
Whew, leaving a couple of big black stripes as he got crossed up.
And right there, if he had a bit more of a gap at the middle of the carousel so he could have run off that corner with that momentum that he had, not run up on the tail of him and having to make that evasive maneuver and pinch the car and lose the rear end. Right here is potential.
Boy, and Belluardo, he really sensed there that Burton was going to come over 3A and cut to the inside, and he just exited about a car width to the right. Now Burton going to try and do the inside there, but that puts him on the outside for the run through the carousel.
Charlie is just doing a fantastic job. Doesn't quite have the pace of the Aston behind him, but he is absolutely placing that car in exactly the right spot. Burton now runs wide, gets that momentum, but can't quite get enough to get alongside him. I got a feeling he had to just breathe it a little bit coming off that corner. Fascinating battle.
It really is.
Really racecraft at its ultimate right here by Charlie Belluardo, just keeping that Porsche out front.
I'll tell you, in the silver category right now, the Ginetta, the McLaren, and the BMW of Dexter, Mullen, and Barber are covered by less than 2 seconds. So that's for the lead in silver. So this is great stuff everywhere. Burton deciding to just force the issue this time, and Belluardo having none of it, Cal.
He just is feeling it out. You're not necessarily even seeing the driver at that point. You're just feeling him on your rear fender, just giving him enough room so that you can still get into the corner without contact.
If Burton squared up that corner a little bit, it may have been something here. Walker taking a look at Quinlan, and Barber, that's, well, they've gone around Dexter, it looks like. I don't see the Ginetta.
I think Barber's going to start to put the heat on Walker here.
Yeah, and that black McLaren with the yellow highlights on it, that's a lap down. That's the Motorsports USA entry of Todd Clarke in the AM class. He's driving very quickly, but he's not part of this mix. And so Andretti has now slipped through. Yeah, Colin Mullen, I mean.
Colin Mullen's going to be trying to chase down Barber because that's for a battle for position. in the silver class. Oh, and gets through, but Charlie recovers, gets to the inside. It's a drag race Alpha 4, and the Porsche maintains the position.
This is great stuff. Tell you what, these AM drivers and these Pro-Am combinations, they've been putting on a show this year in virtually every category in SRO America. It's been fabulous.
Well, it's great to see them develop. That was a nice move there.
Yeah.
He's able to use all of his exit speed. I'm thinking they're going to have, there's not contact between now and the checkered flag. I think both of these drivers will have thoroughly enjoyed this battle out here this afternoon.
Absolutely.
Or this morning, excuse me.
Boy, and I was wondering what happened with Dexter and the Ginetta. Well, it wasn't that he got past. It's that he has dropped Quinlan and Walker, and he's caught these guys. Ryan Dexter's flying.
He is, and he continues to lead the silver class, so he's got to be careful here. He can't throw away a class lead and win potentially by getting involved in this little scuffle. So close. So close. How they haven't traded paint yet, I'm not sure. Burton to the inside. That's big commitment. He's going to get the position. Nicely done.
Now, what can Belluardo do with an over-under of any kind? Nothing, because Burton puts the car in exactly the right place. Yeah, that was gorgeous and clean.
That was nice.
Yep.
Great driving by both of them.
And great patience by Burton. I mean, he was working him over, but never got close to a tap or the like, and now he's going to make good his escape, and now Dexter's got to figure out what to do.
And I think for the RS1 team, they need to give Charlie the word that that is not a battle for position right behind you.
Yeah. Let him go. Just looking here, Dexter is, he's last lap a 151.6. Barber behind him a 53. And low 54s for Quinlan and Walker, so Dexter is hooked up.
I'll tell you who's going to be on the attack is Colin Mullen in that Andretti Autosport window well machine. He needs to cut through those cars in front of him and try and get after Tim Barber in the 25 CCR racing machine.
All right, let's see if Dexter can do something here. That light Ginetta, awfully good on the brakes. You can see it loses in the run down to 7, but if he's close, he can use those that light weight to huge advantage with deep braking, and just wasn't quite close enough that time.
Yeah, it's definitely got some advantages through some of these tight, twisty sections with the Ginetta, but trying to get by Charlie, who's done an excellent job here today. Really a standout performance, I feel, by him here today.
Yes. That team showed up. He and Halen showed up. I think it was at Watkins Glen last year in their first run, and he really impressed me there, and he's just been impressive ever since as an AM component driver. And here comes Tim Barber as Dexter parked behind Belluardo right now. Tim Barber in that number 25 is second in silver to the Ginetta of Dexter, so this is going to get close and interesting in a hurry.
Yeah, Barber has used Quinlan and Walker as a nice little buffer there to Mullen, so safeguarding his second position in the silver class. But you know that he wants to chase after that Ginetta, so this is going to ramp up the tension here, because
yes, it is.
Dexter really needs to get around Charlie Belluardo, because it's allowing Barber to close up on the tail of him, and that will be for position for the lead in the...
Whoa! Tried to square up. Now he's going to try the outside line, and here comes Barber to the inside. This is still hard acceleration, and that's going to play into Barber's hands, and he's through.
He clears him. Just the BMW just has a little bit more grunt there, and out-accelerates the Ginetta up to the carousel. Now he needs to try and clear Charlie as quickly as he can. The Ginetta comes back at him with the rolling apex speed through the carousel. Bit of a roadblock in front of him right now, and that's going to allow the Ginetta to get to his flank.
And those two cars side by side, that is the battle for the lead in silver right now. So this is big.
Mullen looks like he's got inside of James Walker there in turn 7. So that's important, but time is running out for Colin Mullen.
Charlie's going to go defensive here, and here comes the Ginetta to the inside, then look to the outside of Barber.
Belluardo is fighting hard, isn't he? He doesn't want to give up an inch. He's got to be enjoying this race here today.
Yep, and again, these are cars in different classes. So now Barber, and he watched how Burton was able to make the pass and get squeezed. Oh, and a tap.
They're both through. And
yep.
I think the stewards will probably let that one go. They'll probably read into the fact, you know what, this is a different class that they're battling here, and just hard racing.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think that Bob will get a call for that one.
So now Dexter has to try and find a way back around Barber.
He and Corcarello have really done a nice job here.
Yeah.
This is a great performance by that group. See if they can pull off a victory here. Just over 4 minutes to go. Jeanette is certainly a little bit stronger on certain parts of this racetrack. You can see right there, just rolls great speed through turn 4. Then in this little stretch, Tim will probably gap him by half a car length, and then through the middle of this corner, expect the Ginetta to come back at him. There it is.
And as we're watching this, just letting everybody know, the battle for second in the overall and Pro-Am is heating up as Travis is reeling in Brian Putt, and it's down to under 2.5 seconds. So we'll track that one for you as well. But this is for the lead in the silver class. Ooh, boy, Barber really parked it there, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And he's savvy. He's got a
Yep.
lot of experience, and he's just going to park that car. Here's the move. Down to the inside. Charlie doesn't want to give it to him. Just gets touched. I think that's okay. In my book, that's what racing is all about.
There's the Dexter Racing crew going, good. That gets us through, and now we can just attack on that BMW.
Maybe they're reporting the fact that they think it should be a penalty.
Well, that too, yeah. No. But you bring up a good point. Here's that battle for second. But you bring up a good point when I said that Barber really parked it there, and you said, yeah, that's savvy. He knows he's got the horsepower advantage, so if he can slow that Ginetta's exit speed down, that just plays strongly into his hands, doesn't it?
It really does. Looking at this battle, Travis is really on the march right now. Trying to chase down Brian Putt. Putt and Cook coming off a nice podium run here yesterday. Great performance by this new B Sport Racing team.
Yeah, brand new program. And Putt was untouchable here last year in the TCR Cup class when he was running in that category. And Kenton said, yeah, Brian's really good here. And he's showing it, but I'll tell you what, Matt Travis, he can be relentless.
He really can, and we've talked about it throughout the course of this weekend. It's so fun to see these drivers develop and come through the ladder system. Travis, they're a little bit squirrely coming off, trying to get the power down early and chase after that Aston Martin. But just to see Brian Putt make the transition from TCR machine last year over to this GT4 car, and now as we get into the middle of the season, he's really starting to perform.
We've talked about it in the past. The NOLA Sport team just refers to Matt Travis as the world's fastest accountant. And he is quick. And Putt knows it. There's that defense.
Travis is there very, very quickly, so he's showing a lot more speed than the 15 car right now. Does he have enough time to make it stick?
Yeah, it's going to be maybe 2 more laps. It's Dinan's up the road by some 20 seconds, so.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight on whether it's
ooh, Travis.
Laps. Oh, that is tight. He tries to get to the flank, can't quite get it stuck there. If he'd done that, he'd been able to have the inside line for the upcoming corner. So he's working it hard.
But if that card slid just a little bit, then he's into Putt. So Travis
Travis is really good through this corner.
He sure is.
He just rolls speed, just gets off the brakes and lets the car roll through apex nicely.
This is just great battling everywhere we're looking here. And that battle between Barber and Dexter. We have a little map in our scoring, and we call it the traveling ants. And you can't even see the number 63 behind the 25 on that. That's that close. Ooh, Travis working that outside. He's going to try and cut underneath. Boy, and Putt covered that beautifully too.
It's going to be tight with the leader on the clock in terms of 29 seconds to go as the 21 car heads around towards turn 11. There may be one more to go. It's going to be really tight there as you see the time running out.
And And if he gets there with 1 second left, well, then it's another lap.
For everyone.
Exactly.
And that could be critical for Travis.
Well, I think it might be just that close, but he's going to come up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He's through. 2 seconds.
Wow. That's good for us. We're going to be able to focus on this battle for
Yeah.
one more lap. Not great for Brian Putt.
No, not great. Exactly. And for Barber and Dexter, see what unfolds there as well.
I was thinking, man, where's the checkered flag? Where's the
Yes.
checkered flag?
All
Focus forward.
right, now watch. This is where Travis was floating so much speed, Cal.
Yeah, and see what he can do with it. He's pretty savvy and smart, so going to try and cut to the inside. Putt loses a little bit of grip there. Tires are probably not got their best performance left in them. Travis tries to get to the inside, can't quite get it. Can he do the undercut here as they come up over the top of the hill? He gets to the power early. He looks to the inside. What a move by Matt Travis, but Putt is trying to defend. He's out in the gray, he doesn't have the grip, and the Porsche is through.
What a read by Travis. Fabulous move. And that moves him up now into second in Pro-Am and overall. Putt to third. That was great. And now here's this battle for the lead in silver up through that same piece of the racetrack, Cal.
Yeah, and you'd have to think that maybe the Ginettas tires are in slightly better shape, lighter car. Maybe he hasn't had to use the tires as much as Carrillo and Barber have had to do. As we see the team looking on. Corcarello looks pretty excited there. He's pumped up, hoping to see a win here.
All right, what can Ryan Dexter do? Trying to roll some speed in that light Ginetta. Down through the carousel. He's to the inside at the exit. Can he stay there and then get in a little deeper on the brake?
Barber just needs to park it right there. Just keep him out there. Keep him out there.
Ooh.
Lock up by the
He
Ginetta. He
cuts down
touched to the
underneath.
inside.
He's sideways.
There's probably going to be a touch here. He's up and over the curb.
There is
a
touch.
touch.
And there's the win. Dynan bringing it home as he comes through the final turn. Another win for Dynan and a big win for Foley here. Overall and in Pro-Am for Flying Lizards, and this battle continues.
Awesome. Awesome stuff here. Barber just did exactly what he needed to do, but that didn't stop Dexter from having a run on the entry to turn 7. And he's still trying to fight. He is still trying to fight. Barber's got to protect that inside line into the brake zone.
And if it's a drag race off that corner, that's going to play into the favor of the BMW. I was going to say Dexter, he just needed to throw it down the inside, but he knew that could be contact. So here we go. Barber, along with Cole Serralo, coming around and picking up the win in silver after an absolutely fraught battle. And there's the celebration. I think we need to say it again about Cole Serralo. Last year, let's watch the rest of the field coming through here. This is interesting stuff. There's Belluardo, Quinlan, Walker gets him right at the line.
Yeah, and Gibbons wins in the AM class as well, so great stuff there for NOLA Sport.
Well, and scoring says it was Quinlan at the line by 1/1000th of a second. That's absolutely remarkable. What a finish there. That was the battle for 7th in Pro-Am, Cal, and they're racing that hard. As you said, Gottsacker third, along with Whitmer in the silver class. Chandler Hull and Toby Grahovic fourth, and Miller and Tan in fifth. Our CrowdStrike fastest lap goes to this guy, Robbie Foley. Well, it's actually Dynan who is in the car now, but Foley set fast lap in the race in the early going and gets the coveted award. And wow, on the cool down lap, the Ginetta has come to a stop.
Smoke coming out. I'm not sure if he was overheating or...
Yeah, interesting. And apparently we're getting word here that Colin Mullen in that car lost power or drive at some point during that last lap and was just coasting. He finally got it restarted, but that's costly to them for sure. That's big.
That is huge because Gottsacker and Whitmer finish on the podium, so that championship is really going to tighten up. So Mullen and Andretti had the lead coming into this race. It could be almost even Steven at the end of the day.
Here's a look at the results, and white number with a black background is Pro-Am. Black number with a red or with a white background is the silver category, and then the white on red is the AM category. And again, NOLA Sport having a good day, a second and a first. And they're the two classes they're competing, but what a battle in that silver category. What I was getting to about Cole Serralo is keep in mind, this guy last year was running a TCA car, and he's made the step to this category at this level to be able to win in silver. That's pretty remarkable.
It really is. It's a big day for that young man. He's got a lot of talent. He's got a good group around him, and Tim Barber really fended off that Ginetta nicely. It was close.
And into the pit lane comes Michael Dinan. He's going to step out from behind the wheel of this machine, and he just is unflappable and on some levels unstoppable this weekend.
Well, the confidence is going to continue to grow. Another
truly.
victory, and this is a big year for Michael. I mean, we've seen the pace being displayed over the last couple of years, but now the racecraft is there as well, as Robbie Foley congratulates his teammate.
Just incredible. Let's go back, take a look at some of the highlights from what has been a highly entertaining race. From the off, Foley into the lead right away over the white Aston Martin of Ken Cook. As they steam up the hill, and already on the move, you see Andrew Davis and Chris Wilson trying to make up ground in a big hurry, Cal.
Yeah, just a great battle all the way through the field with the different classes intermixed. You see Kozarov trying to make a move on Bill Orville in the red line, oil, Bimmerwell, BMW. You see Jared Andretti very much in the mix as everyone gets through turn 7 cleanly.
And of course, one of the big stories was the charge through the field from dead last of Mad SILJEHAUG, but having a little bit of a moment there and getting past at that point. And then this tremendous battle between Charlie Belluardo and the Porsche. And here, Jeff Burton jukes to the inside, finally able to move his way up and through and take that spot.
Yeah, that was a battle that went on for about 5 laps, and finally the 91 car 2 gets that position. A little bump here by Tim Barber on his way to that class victory. Charlie just defended vigorously, and look at this late in the going. Looked like the Ginetta was going to get him. There's a little touch just as they come off the corner. Barber just manages to keep control of that BMW, and then great move here. Didn't quite make it stick. This is a cut and paste, I think, from earlier in the race, but at the flag. It
was Dinan coming through in the Flying Lizard entry and picking up that big win. Once again, Barber winning in silver, and the number 7 NOLA Sport Trattori Wines entry of Sean Gibbons and Zach Anderson get another win in the AM category. And there is Derek DeBoer saying, I think we're third, man. I think we're third. We're on the podium. And indeed, he and Dr. Jim Rappaport are on that podium. And just a great run for that TRG Racing Porsche with the Silver State Medical Consultants and Fast Life TV support. So good for them to be on the podium and having a little chat. There's Chris Wilson.
There was some fun battles out there today.
Man. There's John in the helmet right there.
Some good bench racing, even with the mask or the helmets on.
I just love listening to that post-race bench racing and the laughs and the enthusiasm and the like.
That's what it's all about.
And I know after a somewhat contentious day for Reardon and RS1 yesterday, I certainly hope that Burton and Belluardo find each other and just go, man, was that fun, because that was exceptional racing and as clean as it could be.
It really was. It was awesome racecraft by both of those drivers. Great patience displayed by Jeff and Charlie Belluardo. That was a wonderful day for you to watching him defend those positions, whether it's for class or not. He just really got up on the wheel.
He sure did. It was absolutely exceptional. Of course, Ryan Marine making his way over to Victory Circle, where we'll be hearing from our class winners in short order. But 8th round of this Pirelli GT4 America Sprintx Championship, sponsored by CrowdStrike this weekend. This is a category, Cal, with the 3 classes in it that is just mega entertaining.
It is, and you've just got such a twisted dynamic going on throughout the course of the 60 minutes with the overlap of the classes, and people try to justify, should we be going forward? Do we need to sit and be patient? But it was a fun one.
Well, and there you see our man Ryan Marine down in Victory Circle.
Joined once again, as has become customary, by Michael Dinan. Another tremendous performance from you and the team. You took over with the big lead. What did you have to do to stay focused and concentrated to make sure you could bring it home?
Yeah, Robbie did an incredible job in his stint. Obviously opened up a big gap for me, and it was all about just putting in consistent laps, not making any mistakes, and staying calm inside my head. So it was an amazing race. Super happy to win here. It's Flying Lizard's home track. It's actually their first overall victory here ever. So it's an honor to be able to be part of that with Robbie and Flying Lizard team.
A little bit of history there. Congratulations and good luck. You've still got one more race coming up later today We'll have you step to the side. We'll have Robbie step in. Robbie, I'll tell you what, we're making a habit of talking here, and I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. How was your stint? How were you able to pull a gap there and give Michael a chance just to kind of put it on cruise control during his time in the car?
Yeah, we always want to start from pole because you can control the pace at the start. And yeah, I was able to get a little jump on Kenton. He did a really good job to try to give me a hard time into turn 1. But once I got through turn 2, I just wanted to basically put my head down for a couple laps and try to build a gap and then, in a sense, maintain it so I could save some tire for Michael at the end. The Pirellis held up well, but there is a lot of tire drop off here. So I wanted to give him something to fight with at the end, and he got in and did a flawless job. So hats off to him, and he's really killing it this year. So it's fun to be a part of, and I'm so proud of him.
As a proud driver coach, that's for sure. Robbie Foley, congrats.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Robbie plays a few different roles in that team, and to see this kind of success, man, that's awesome.
It is. It's you know, it's great to work with a young talent like Michael and see him develop over the last couple of years. And as we said, confidence is high right now. He's going to be tough to beat.
Pinging. And then that battle for that that second spot in the podium with Travis and Putt late in the going. That 2 seconds margin to the checkered flag was the difference in that podium being whether Travis or Putt on that one. And then Davis and Bell. I think Jason Bell is really having a strong weekend as the AM component of that team, hanging on and doing a brilliant job to bring him home in 4th. And then that Kozarov-Burton battle and the Belluardo-Burton battle in particular was just superb. Then 7th, Quinlan and Leafouge. Walker, again, 1/1000th of a second, the difference between Quinlan and Walker at the line there. Let's get back down to Ryan.
Oh, what a tremendous fight to the finish in the silver class. Cole Corallo, Tim Barber. I'll tell you what, it's been a big step up for you coming from touring cars and making the jump, and now you find yourself in victory lane. How gratifying is it?
And I'm super stoked. I'm getting a little teary-eyed. I just can't believe we're here, and Tim did an amazing job. I did an amazing job keeping consistent. The first stint I was out there, I was able to...
We're kind of new to this. Some guys have been running for a long time. Of course, the Corallo family, the Snow family for helping us out. We threw Cole to the deep end this year, and, you know, some teething process there. He's come a long way, and then he took a huge leap yesterday and continued today. We're like, dude, if the same Cole shows up today, we got a chance here. Traffic didn't help me yesterday. Traffic did help today. I was able to catch the Ginetta. You know, sometimes the luck just goes your way.
Pretty good drive as well. Great job.
Appreciate
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, it was that. Just an absolutely superb run. Under fierce pressure, hanging on from a car that on a free lap was going to be quicker. Then Whitmer and Gottsacker hanging on for 3rd. That's got big points implications, obviously. Cal, that's important.
It really is, with the problems with the Andretti Autosport Window World machine there on the last couple of laps. It really creates a nice buffer in points there for the 28 car that weren't having the strongest weekend, to be honest with you. Nice podium run, admittedly, but I think they were hoping for more. But that's a nice rebound at the end of the day. I think they'll come out of here and think, you know what, we got away with one.
Yeah, absolutely right. And let's get back down one more time to Victory Circle. Ryan Marine with a couple of drivers who I think are going to be enjoying some nice Trattori wine tonight.
I expect you're right about that, Greg. Another great performance from NOLA Sport in a class win in the AM category. Sean Gibbons, kind of a home weekend, big weekend for the new sponsors as well. Has this been a dream weekend for you guys?
Absolutely. You know, like I said on Friday, my first visit here to come away with a win, and I think, you know, the car was so good. That Porsche Cayman that NOLA gave us was good the whole time. At the end, I could still push, and I did. I think for me, that was my best drive. I love this place.
Yeah, it
awesome.
showed. That's
awesome.
for sure. Congratulations. Thanks. Zach, we'll have you come in as well. I know this program, it was kind of a lifeline for you. What do you think about the way that it's played out? What might this mean in the grand scheme of your career aspirations?
Well, I mean, the one thing I can say is I'm happy to be in a Porsche this weekend. If you looked at the whole weekend, Porsches were just running through the field all throughout the race. And happy to be with NOLA Sport, happy to be with OGH and Sean Gibbons. I'm just doing what is expected of me. I'm doing my job, and that's all I can do. I'm living up to my potential every day. So that's my goal every time I wake up.
Congratulations. Enjoy the celebration as well.
You.
Well deserved.
Thank you, Ryan.
Well, they certainly did a nice job, no question about it. And I like that. I just try to live up to my potential. That's my goal every day. And he's certainly been doing that. They have a great start to the season. Chris Wilson and John Allen, again, pretty good run for them, obviously. Allen hanging on for his second-place finish. Nice job. And Derek DeBoer at the end being able to move up, and with Jim Rappaport, I think probably a pretty rough ride on those rear tires, up on the podium.
Yeah, it's a great battle. I mean, all of the classes put on a great show here today, and for Sean Gibbons-Anderson, another win, their 4th of the year. That'll extend their championship lead, but a great rebound there for Derek DeBoer and Jim Rappaport climbing up onto the podium at the very end of the race.
Very quickly, Cal, next round, Road America, that place is something else as well.
Yeah, and a very different dynamic. So we've seen certain marks be very strong here at Sonoma. I think there'll maybe someone else climb to the top there in Wisconsin.
Variety is the spice, and we've got it for you here in Pirelli GT4 America action.